Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, I want to take you on a little mental field trip.
Okay.
We're going to the grocery store, but we're skipping produce, skipping the bakery, and we're walking down what I think is probably the most intimidating aisle in the entire building. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, I have a feeling I know exactly where we're going.
It usually smells vaguely of vanilla and maybe warm plastic. It's lined with these huge, like industrial-sized tubs. They look like they should hold paint, not food.
Right.
And the fonts. The fonts are just screaming at you. Megamass, Nitro Explosion, Destroyer.
It is a fairly aggressive shopping experience. It feels less like nutrition and more like you're browsing for commercial explosives.
Exactly. It's so intense. And honestly, for a long time, I just walked right past it. I'd look at those tubs and think, okay, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not prepping for the Olympics. And I definitely don't want to destroy anything. So this stuff isn't for me. But then I started digging into the research for today, specifically this really comprehensive guide by Laurent Fabian from Ingredientsage, and I realized I might be completely wrong.
You are definitely not alone in that. I think the marketing around protein supplements has done a fantastic job of targeting a very, very specific demographic, the gym bro, if you will.
Right.
But that marketing, it really does a massive disservice to the biology because biologically, protein is, well, it's universally essential. It's not just about aesthetics or getting huge biceps.
Right. So that's our mission today. We're going to decode the chemistry of the supplement aisle. We're going to strip away the aggressive fonts and the lightning bolts and talk about what this stuff actually does for your body.
For your focus, for your energy.
Yeah, for your muscles, too.
And we're going to answer the big question. Does the average person, the learner listening right now, who might just want to feel a bit sharper during the workday, do you actually need this stuff? Or is it all just expensive dust?
Let's start at the absolute baseline. Before we get into all the different types, the wheys, the plants, the beef. And yes, we are absolutely going to talk about beef protein.
We have to.
We need to establish why we even need protein at all. The source uses this analogy of building a house.
Right. It's the classic bricks analogy, and it really holds up. You can have the blueprints, that's your DNA, telling your body what to look like. You can have the construction workers, that's your energy, mostly from carbs and fats.
But no bricks.
But if you don't order the bricks, the house just doesn't get built.
But see, when I hear building, my mind still immediately goes to muscle. I think of, framing the house.
And that's the trap. The house of your body is so much more than just the framing. Fabian points out in the guide that protein is the structural foundation for your bones, your cartilage, your skin, even your blood.
Wow.
It's the literal scaffolding that holds your physical form together. If you don't have enough bricks, the maintenance on the house starts to slip.
That makes sense. But what really stood out to me in the reading, and this was a total aha moment, was all the invisible work that protein does. The guide talks about enzymes.
Yes. This is where we move from, say, construction to management. Protein isn't just a static brick. It's an active participant.
Okay.
Enzymes are proteins. They're the catalysts that make almost every chemical reaction in your body happen. Digestion, metabolism, cellular repair. Everything keeps moving because of these protein-based enzymes.
So if you're low on protein, you're not just risking muscle loss, you're actually slowing down your body's entire chemical operating system.
Precisely. You're understaffing the factory floor. And it goes even further. Hormones. Many of them are protein-based messengers. Insulin, for example, is a peptide hormone.
That's protein.
That's protein. So if you're skimping on protein intake, you're potentially disrupting the signals that tell your body what to do and when to do it.
Now, there was one specific connection in the reading that really caught my attention, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. It's the link between protein and the brain. Because usually we think brain food is, omega-3s or caffeine.
Yes. This is the big takeaway for today if you want one. Protein is, it's psychoactive. In a sense, it provides the amino acids you need to produce neurotransmitters.
And these are the chemicals the brain uses to communicate, right?
Correct. We're talking about dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. These regulate your mood, your ability to focus, your cognitive drive.
And they're built from protein.
They're built from amino acids. For example, the amino acid tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine. No tyrosine. It's much harder to make dopamine.
So let me put this in practical terms. If I'm sitting at my desk at 3 p.m., staring at a spreadsheet, feeling foggy, irritable, maybe a bit scattered.
We've all been there.
That might not just be a lack of sleep or needing more coffee. It could be a lack of building blocks.
It is a very real possibility. Laurent Fabian makes a point to mention that protein is critical for mood regulation. If you don't have the raw materials to build those neurotransmitters, your focus is going to suffer. You can't build a wall without bricks, and you can't build a thought without neurotransmitters.
That completely reframes the conversation. It's not just mass gainer, it's focus gainer.
And sticking with that 3 p.m. slump protein has a massive metabolic benefit compared to carbs. We've all had the crash after a bagel or a big bowl of pasta, that spike and drop in blood sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Protein helps blunt that. It stabilizes your energy levels.
And it keeps you full, right? The guide used the word satiety.
Satiety, yes.
Yeah.
It's a polite scientific way of saying you're not raiding the pantry for chips an hour later. It effectively reduces the urge for unhealthy snacking because your body takes so much longer to break protein down compared to carbohydrates.
A slow burn.
It's a slow burn, providing a steady stream of energy rather than a fireworks show.
Okay, so we've established that protein is basically the VIP of nutrients. It's keeping our bones hard, our brains happy, and our stomachs full.
Yeah.
But now we have to go back to that terrifying aisle with the giant tubs.
Yes.
Because I'm looking at the shelf and I see 50 different options.
And the industry loves to confuse you with terminology.
The guide breaks these down into a few categories, and we have to start with the heavyweight champion. The big cheese, literally and figuratively.
Whey protein.
Whey protein. Why is this the default setting for everyone?
Whey is ubiquitous because it is the biological gold standard for bioavailability.
Bioavailability. That's a buzzword we hear a lot. Unpack that for us.
It's essentially a score of how much of what you eat actually gets used by your body. I mean, you could eat a leather shoe. It has protein in it. But your body can't break it down, so the bioavailability is basically zero.
Right.
Whey just hits the top of the charts. Your body knows exactly what to do with it and absorbs it incredibly efficiently.
And the guide mentions it's a complete protein.
Right. Complete means it contains all 9 essential amino acids.
Yeah.
And essential isn't just a marketing term. It means our bodies cannot produce them on their own. We have to get them from food.
And whey has all of them.
Whey has them all wrapped up in a package that is incredibly quick to digest.
Which explains the whole locker room thing. You see guys shaking those bottles furiously the second they drop the weights.
There's a real reason for that. After intense activity, your muscles are primed to absorb nutrients for repair. We call this protein synthesis. Whey hits the bloodstream fast, flooding the system with amino acids, especially one called leucine.
Leucine.
Which acts like a green light switch for muscle repair.
But, and there's a big but, here it is dairy.
It is, and historically, whey was actually considered waste. It's the liquid byproduct of making cheese. For centuries, farmers just threw it away or fed it to pigs.
So we're paying $50 a tub for refined cheese waste.
Highly refined, scientifically optimized cheese waste. But yes, because it's dairy, if you're lactose intolerant, whey can be, let's say, explosive.
Okay, but the source material offers a really important nuance here that I think confuses a lot of buyers. I see 2 terms on the labels all the time: concentrate and isolate.
Yeah.
And isolate is always more expensive. Is that just a marketing tax?
No, there is a real manufacturing difference there. It all comes down to filtration. Imagine a sieve. Whey concentrate is the less processed version. It goes through fewer filters. It's usually about 80% protein, and the rest is just naturally occurring fats and lactose.
So it's closer to the original milk source.
Exactly. Whey isolate, on the other hand, undergoes something called cross-flow microfiltration. They essentially strip away almost all the fats and carbohydrates.
So it's pure.
It pushes the protein content up to 90% or higher. So if you are strictly counting calories, or, and this is key, you have a mild sensitivity to lactose, the isolate is often the safer bet because most of that lactose has been washed out.
So concentrate for the generalist who wants to save a few bucks, isolate for the specialist, or the tummy sensitive?
That's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Now let's meet the rest of the family. If whey is the high-energy, run-around-the-block cousin, who's casein?
Casein is the laid-back cousin. It's also from milk. Milk protein is actually about 80% casein and only 20% whey, but it behaves completely differently once you drink it.
The source had this descriptive, slightly weird image for this. It said casein forms a gel in your stomach.
It does. It's pH sensitive. So when it hits your stomach acid, it coagulates. It basically forms a ball.
That sounds incredibly unappealing. Here, drink this ball of sludge.
It sounds gross, I know, but biologically, it's a feature, not a bug. Because it forms this clump, your enzymes have to chip away at it slowly, like eroding a rock.
So it digests over hours.
It digests over a period of 5 to 7 hours. It provides a slow, steady trickle of amino acids into your bloodstream.
So you wouldn't take this right after a workout because you want speed then. When do you use the gel?
You take it before bed. Think of it as the night shift. While you're sleeping, you're fasting, but your body still needs nutrients to repair. Casein feeds your muscles overnight.
Ah.
It's also great for fasting periods where you know you won't eat for a long time and want to stay full because that gel just sits in your stomach longer.
It's like slow-release fertilizer for your body.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered the dairy options, but we know a huge portion of our listeners might be vegan or just trying to cut down on animal products, or maybe they just really hate the taste of milk. What about plant-based options?
It's a booming category. The source highlights pea, rice, and hemp proteins as the leaders here. But we do have to talk about the completeness issue again.
Right, because I've heard that plants are incomplete proteins. Is that a myth, or is there science to that?
It's science, but it's often misunderstood. Most individual plant sources are limiting in one or more essential amino acids. For example, rice protein is typically high in methionine, but low in lysine.
And pea protein is the opposite.
Pea protein is the opposite, rich in lysine, low in methionine.
So if I just buy a tub of purely rice protein, I'm technically missing a piece of the puzzle.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
You aren't getting the optimal ratio for human biology, but the supplement industry, to their credit, has solved this with blends.
Right.
You rarely find just rice protein on the shelf anymore. It's almost always a plant protein blend.
They just mix them to fill in the gaps.
Exactly. By combining pea and rice, they create a complete amino acid profile that can rival whey. It's basically chemistry to the rescue. They stack the deck so you get everything you need.
Plus, as the source notes, you're often getting a bonus with plant proteins that you never get with dairy.
Fiber, right. Animal proteins have zero fiber. Plant blends often come with that digestive aid built in, which can really help with the satiety factor we talked about earlier.
Okay, now we have to talk about the one that stopped me in my tracks. I'm reading the list. Whey, casein, plants, and then beef protein.
Yes, the controversial one.
I have to ask, is this just desiccated hamburger meat? Does it taste like a steak smoothie? Because that sounds absolutely horrific.
I am happy to report that no, it does not taste like a steak smoothie. That would be a marketing disaster.
Oh, thank goodness.
Now with more gravy flavor. No.
So what is it then?
Beef protein powder is actually a real triumph of isolation technology, though some might call it hyperprocessing. As Fabian explains, they take beef, often the parts that aren't good for steaks, along with bones and connective tissue, and they boil it down, hydrolyze it, and isolate the protein.
Hydrolyze. That sounds intense.
It just means they use enzymes or acid to pre-digest the protein into these tiny little chains. It breaks the bonds. Then, and this is the key part, they remove the fat and the flavor.
So you get the benefits of red meat protein without the cholesterol or the beefiness.
Precisely. It ends up being a clean powder that is high in protein and naturally high in collagen and gelatin.
Which explains why it's pitched for joint health, too.
Correct. But here's the catch. Because it's high in collagen, the amino acid profile is different from whey. It's high in glycine and proline, but lower in those key muscle-building branched chain amino acids.
So it's better for joints and skin, maybe less for pure muscle growth?
Exactly. It's great for that, but maybe slightly less anabolic than whey.
But it doesn't taste like beef.
No. It tastes like chocolate or vanilla, just like the others. But the texture,
Yeah.
well, because of the gelatin, if you don't mix it well, it can get a little gummy.
Interesting. Well, it's a fascinating alternative for people who want animal protein but can't do dairy and are allergic to soy.
It is. It's a niche, but it's a growing one.
Okay, so we know the types. We have the fast whey, the slow casein, the plant blends, and the invisible beef. But I'm still standing in the aisle, paralyzed by choice. How do I actually pick one without wasting my money?
This brings us to the strategy of selection. The guide emphasizes that grabbing the coolest looking tub, the one with the lightning bolts, is a terrible strategy. You have to start with your goal.
Right. So if I'm looking to bulk up, which, let's be honest, usually isn't my goal, but for some listeners it is, what am I looking for?
So you're looking for calories. You want to look for mass gainers. These are protein powders that have added carbohydrates, usually maltodextrin or oat flour, and fats.
They're calorie bombs.
They are calorie bombs designed to help you stay in a surplus.
And if I mistakenly buy that, thinking it's just normal protein.
Then you are drinking the equivalent of a large milkshake every day. And you will gain weight, but maybe not the kind you want.
Okay, noted. Avoid mass gainer unless I want mass. So if I'm just trying to lean out, if I want the focus benefits and the satiety, but I'm watching my waistline?
You go the opposite way. You look for isolates, like we discussed. You want the label to say 100 to 120 calories per scoop with almost zero carbs or fats. You want that protein hit without the extra energy baggage.
Now, the author, Lauren Fabian, shares a personal tip in the article that I think is genius, because these tubs are expensive. They're like $60, $80.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
What happens if I buy the chocolate fudge brownie explosion and it tastes like dirt?
That is the worst case scenario. You are stuck with 5 pounds of regret.
5 pounds of regret sitting on top of the fridge, just staring at you.
So Fabian suggests the sample pack hack. Don't buy the tub. Go to your local health store and just ask for samples. Or buy single-serving packets online.
It seems so obvious, but I never do it. I always just gamble on the tub.
It lets you test 2 things. Taste, obviously, but also stomach sensitivity. Does this specific brand make you feel bloated? Does it mix well, or does it stay clumpy?
Yeah.
You won't know until you try it, and a sample pack is such a low-risk way to find out.
And the source also mentions checking social proof, reviews and forums, specifically for mixability.
Yes. Mixability is a big one. You can't always trust the label when it says mixes instantly. The internet will tell you if you need a jackhammer to dissolve the powder.
So true. Nobody wants chunks in their drink. Okay, let's talk about actually using this stuff, because the image of the gym shaker cup is so strong. But I don't want to carry a shaker cup everywhere. It feels aggressive.
And you don't have to. The guide really encourages creative consumption. Protein powder is just an ingredient. It's powdered food. You don't need the shaker.
What were some of the examples that stood out to you?
Baking is a big one. Stirring it into oatmeal is very common. But the one that I think fits the learner lifestyle best is coffee.
The proffee.
I believe that's the hashtag, yes.
Yeah.
But adding a scoop of vanilla or unflavored protein to coffee, it acts like a creamer, but it gives you that nutritional boost to start the day.
I love that.
It's a really practical way to break the gym association. You're just hacking your morning caffeine.
Okay, but let's talk timing. There are so many myths here. I grew up hearing about the anabolic window. The idea that if you don't drink your shake within 30 minutes of working out, your workout was basically wasted.
Oh, yeah.
Is that real?
That is one of the most persistent zombies in fitness mythology. The anabolic window exists, but it's more like a barn door than a window. It stays open for hours, maybe 24 to 48 hours.
So I don't need to chug a shake in the locker room while I'm still sweating.
No. The total amount of protein you eat in a day matters so much more than the exact minute you eat it.
That is a relief.
However, the guide does say, post-workout is good because your body is ready for it. Nighttime is good for maintenance with casein. But anytime is perfectly valid. If your goal is just general health, filling nutritional gaps, or staying full at work, taking it at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. is great. You don't have to earn your protein shake with a deadlift.
I think that's the key takeaway for a lot of us. Now, before we wrap up, we do need to look at the warning label. Is there such a thing as too much protein?
Yes.
Can I overdose on this stuff?
You can, and the expert in me has to emphasize this part of the source. Moderation is absolutely key.
What happens if we overdo it?
Primarily, the kidneys can take a hit. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering out the nitrogen byproducts of protein metabolism, specifically urea.
Right.
If you overload your system, and we're talking massive amounts here, way more than the recommended dose, you strain the filter. It'd also lead to some serious digestive issues, bloating, gas, the works.
And the guide mentions hydration, right?
Critical. This is maybe the most important safety tip. If you are increasing your protein intake, you must increase your water intake. Your body needs that water to flush those nitrogen byproducts out. If you just eat dry powder, which some people actually do, and don't drink water, you're going to have a bad time. Dehydration and protein are a terrible mix.
Note to self, drink more water. And there's one more safety tip about quality control.
Yes. This is an unregulated market in many ways. The FDA does not approve supplements before they hit the shelf in the same way they do with drugs.
That's kind of scary.
It is. The source advises choosing reputable companies with transparent labeling. You want to look for third-party testing stamps like NSF or Informed Choice.
Yeah.
That guarantees what's on the label is actually in the tub.
And that there's no bad stuff.
And more importantly, that there aren't heavy metals or other contaminants lurking in there.
And finally, the golden rule from the FAQ section, whole foods first.
Always. Supplements are exactly that, supplements. They're meant to add to a diet, not replace it. You cannot live on powder alone. You need the micronutrients, the fiber, the complexity of real food. Protein powder fills the gaps. It is not the foundation.
So let's recap our journey down the aisle. We learned that protein isn't just for biceps, it's for brains, for bones, for preventing that 3 p.m. crash.
We learned that whey is the fast-acting king, casein is the slow-burning night owl, and that plants can absolutely compete if you blend them right.
And we learned that beef protein is a flavorless miracle of isolation technology.
And that you should always, always buy a sample pack before you commit to that 5-pound tub.
Exactly. It feels a lot less intimidating now. I feel like I can walk into that aisle and actually read the labels instead of just staring at the fonts.
That's the goal. Knowledge turns the Megamass 3000 into just a list of amino acids.
Before we go, is there one final thought you want to leave us with?
You know, I keep thinking back to that beef protein segment. It's fascinating to me. But we have reached a point where we can take a cow, isolate the structural proteins from its bones and meat, strip away the flavor, strip away the fat, and turn it into this sterile, functional powder.
It is kind of sci-fi when you put it that way.
And it raises a really interesting question about the future of food. If we can isolate these building bricks so perfectly, where's the line between food and fuel? Are we moving toward a future where nutrition is entirely functional, completely detached from the culinary experience of, eating a steak or drinking milk? It's efficient, sure, but it really changes our relationship with what we eat.
That is something to chew on, or I guess sip on. Thank you for that perspective, and thank you to everyone for listening. Go out there, read the labels, and fuel your body with what it truly needs.
Stay curious.
See you in the next deep dive.